Do you have any tips to maintain a long distance relationship? So yes, and I think again this is super personal. What works well to keep relationships going and make relationships continue to feel like engaged and fun and hot for people can be very, very different. So like for me, something that works really well in long distance relationships is sexting and video sex and sending each other sexy Marco Polos, right? These ways that we continue that kind of like sexy physical intimacy when we're at a distance. For some people, that's not their jam. I think the number one tip I have for maintaining a long distance relationship is for each of you separately to sit down and figure out like what helps you feel seen in a relationship, what helps you feel connected to your partner when you can't physically be close, what are your big love languages, and are there ways to get those met when you're not physically together, what makes you feel more distance, and what's an antidote to those, and then talk about those things together. So for me, my biggest love language is touch, and so I had a long distance relationship once where he got me a stuffed bear that I could cuddle when I was missing him, because it gave me that touch that wasn't exactly him, but it was something he gave me, so it kind of was like a transient, the transitive property of himness was applied to the bear, right? And sometimes he would give me like a shirt that he had worn, so it smelled like him, that I could wrap around the bear to help get another like sensory portion involved. I think a big thing is that long distance relationships are often a learning process of what does work for you, what doesn't work for you, what are your needs, what are your boundaries. And I think there's never going to be a single right answer other than negotiate this specifically with whatever partner you have long distance relationships with. Like I said, for me, sexting is really important, and I don't tend to do well in a long distance relationship where we're never going to see each other. Because so much of how my system functions in terms of connection and attachment has to do with that like in-person time, that if we don't get any of that for a long period of time, my brain, as like an ADHD brain, just kind of like sorts you into the invisible pile. And so it's harder for me to keep things going. And so we have to have regular times that we see each other for that to keep going for me. That may not be the case for other people. It may not be possible for other folks. So things that like I know I would need in a long distance relationship would, one, be like regular times that we're going to be getting together, whether we're seeing each other every 2 months, we're seeing each other every month, once a quarter, like whatever it is. And I ideally would like us to have the next one booked out before the one that we're on ends. 2 booked out is even better. I like something that is like a physical representation of them that I get to keep with me, so that when I'm missing them, I have something there. I like a lot of like messaging and texting, both sexy and not sexy. Like a big part of intimacy for me is someone inviting me into their world. And so like telling me about like what's going on in their day and like what they're looking forward to and like what's been hard for them. For those ways that you like invite me into your world that I can't physically be present for, that really helps me a lot feel close. Regular phone calls and or video chats are helpful. Even if it's just like we hop on a video call and watch a show together, that helps me feel a lot closer to somebody because we're getting that like real-time kind of interaction. I also love Marco Polo for feeling closer because it's little video texts. And so there's not that like we have to schedule a time we can physically be in the same place, but we get that same kind of like interaction in real time, but not in real time. Like you get the videos, but you don't have to be there for it. I don't know how to describe it and why it works for me. I think also like doing little sweet things for each other, like ordering someone dinner if they had a hard day, right? These ways that we're like doing the things that we would do in person in a way that we can do long distance. So like I can't come over and cook you dinner, but I can order dinner to your place so that you don't have to think about it or figure it out. So like those ways of, you know, taking care of each other, showing caring, showing up to the relationship. Those are things that are very helpful for me in long distance relationships. Different people need different things. Some people need phone calls every day. That to me sounds like a nightmare. I would rather not. Like in NRE, I can do that, but like in real life, no. That is so much time and energy that I do not have. The phone can be really draining for me, and so like that's just not a thing that works well for me. But a phone call once a week would be great, or a video chat once a week would be fantastic. That would be awesome, especially if we have like a regular, reliable time, so we're not having to do the calendaring dance over and over again. Having someone make sure that they're making stuff is making sure that there are things on the calendar, so it's not just up to me. Like, these are things that would be helpful for me in a long distance relationship to make me feel seen and cared for while we're not physically present. So ask yourself, like, what makes you feel really seen and cared for? What's worked really well? What are the things that haven't worked for you? What would be the antidotes to those? So, like, if you didn't have a video chat with the person for a month, and that was really, really hard for you, then you know a month is too long to go between video chats. So maybe it's 3 weeks, maybe it's 2 weeks, right? Like, figure out what those things are that you need. And I think this is often like a long process of trial and error. And so you have to figure out like how much space you have for patience and grace and kindness around this, because you're both going to mess it up a lot while you're figuring out what your needs are and how to give what the other person needs to them. So I think that's a big piece of it too, is like making sure that you have like found the grace that you need in yourself to forgive them for not meeting the needs that you have, the patience that you have. And if you don't have that kind of grace and patience, it's understandable, and long distance is going to be much harder. All right, I hope that was a helpful answer. So many of my answers are therapist answers, which are like, it depends. What do you need? I know, therapists were the worst. We never answer a question. We just answer questions with questions and like make you do all the work. It's so crappy. I get it. I understand.